seated, and when you're seated, please state your full name and spell your last name for the record.
Ronald Faircloth. Last name is Faircloth.
And what is your occupation, sir?
I'm a detective with the Broward County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And how long have you been in law enforcement?
About 17 years.
And how long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
The entire time.
Okay. Do you have any special responsibilities at this time?
Yes, I've been doing digital forensics for approximately 9 years.
Okay. Could you please explain what that is to the jury?
Yes. So primarily my role is to take electronic devices, mostly cell phones, and I extract the data off of those phones, take the extracted data and present it into a readable format for the investigators that are investigating the case to review.
Okay. And what is your training in order to enable you to do that?
So I've completed over 1,000 hours in training for computer forensics, both Windows, Mac, cell phone forensics. I've been teaching digital forensics for about 4.5 years for a company called Cellbrite. They manufacture a tool and software that we utilize in digital forensics. As an instructor, I've taught over 2,000 hours to hundreds of other forensic examiners across the globe.
And do you keep up with specialized training?
Yes.
What, like for instance?
I've been through, so the first training class that I attended was a 2-week course in Orlando put on by IASIS, the International Association of Computer Investigative Specialists. It was a 2-week program based on basic computer forensic training, and that was followed up by a 6-month certification process. During the 6-month certification process, I was required to examine numerous different hard drives and artifacts and complete questions and an examination to finally get the certification.
Okay. And have you testified as an expert in cell phone forensics?
Yes, I have. I've testified as an expert 5 times, 3 of which in state court and twice in federal court.
Okay. So let me show you now State's Exhibit 429 that has been introduced in evidence, Detective Faircloth, that has been identified as a phone found in the east stairwell of the 1200 building on February the 14th, 2018. I ask you if you can identify that.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And what is that?
This is a ZTE Z818L cell phone that I examined on February 15th.
Okay. And who did you obtain that cell phone from?
I obtained it from Detective Valerian Perez.
Okay. And so when you received that cell phone, what did you do?
When I received the cell phone, I first initially did a physical examination of the phone. I checked it to determine if there was any, since it's an Android-based phone, if there were any SIM cards or micro SD cards in it. There was a SIM card in the phone. A SIM card is a small plastic chip that has copper contacts on one side of it that's used to allow the phone carrier, AT&T or T-Mobile like that, to authenticate the phone user so that they can make and receive calls, use data, make text messages. So after examining it, I found the SIM card. I pulled the SIM card out of the device, and then I began to do the examination on both the SIM card and the cell phone.
Okay. And explain the process to us.
So the process involves 2 separate examinations. We examined each item individually. So I used what we refer to as a UFED Touch 2. It's a hardware device created by Cellbrite, the company I had mentioned earlier. UFED stands for Universal Forensic Extraction Device, and it's basically a small tablet-based system that can process both the SIM card and the cell phone. So I initially started with the cell phone, with the SIM card. I placed the SIM card into the proper location on the UFED Touch 2, at which time it extracted the data off of the SIM card, When I say extraction, I'm referring to just basically the copying of data. There's a number of different types of extractions that we can do. On SIM cards, the extraction type that we conduct is referred to as a logical extraction. It basically just reads live data off of that SIM card. So it gets typically authentication information that the carrier needs to authenticate the user on their network. So once I completed that logical extraction, I then powered on the cell phone to determine if it was in a locked state. It was in a locked state with a swipe code. So I utilized a method that is referred to as EDL mode, which stands for emergency download mode. It is a built-in process for Qualcomm processors. If you're not familiar with what a processor is, you've probably heard of Intel. Intel is a processor for computers. Qualcomm is basically a processor for cell phones. A processor is more or less the brains of the electronic device. It's what does all the processing. It does all the computations. So the Qualcomm processors have a built-in function in case of failure on the device, where you can place them into this emergency download mode that allows you to recover the phone. So I placed the phone into emergency download mode, which allowed me to obtain a physical extraction of the phone. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we have a few different types of extraction methods and types. So the SIM card, I conducted a logical extraction. On the phone, I conducted a physical extraction. A physical extraction is basically an exact copy of what's in the memory chip on the phone. So it starts at the beginning of that memory chip and it goes all the way down to the end of that memory chip, and it gets everything in between.
Okay, and we able to get the telephone number?
Yes, we have the cell phone. The cell phone number on the device was 954-821-1007.
Okay, and let me show you now State's exhibit marked 24T for identification. Detective Air Fulton, can you identify that?
Yes, sir.
What is that?
This is exhibits from the cell phone report that I created.
Okay, and what does it show?
It shows 2 Gmail accounts that were logged in on the phone. There was a Gmail account for Linda Cruz 1949 at gmail.com, and there was a second email address of Nikolas Jacob Cruz at gmail.com as well.
Okay. And that was you got that as the basis of the physical extraction?
Yes.
Okay. And showing you now State's exhibit marked 24U.
Thank you.
What is that?
This is the Stoneman Douglas bell schedule.
All right, and how did you obtain that?
There was a PDF version of this bell schedule on the cell phone that I found. It had been downloaded on February 2nd, so approximately 12 days before the shooting.
All right, how do you make that? How do you get that?
So in examining the cell phone, the extraction that we pull off of the device, we open it into forensic software that basically translates the data. So the extraction isn't something that we can readily read. So in the process, we open it in this forensic tool that then translates it into something that we can recognize. So in doing so, I then go through the files on the device. I went through a number of different types of files that led me to this bell schedule.
And it tells you exactly when it was downloaded?
There is a creation date for that file.
And what was the date again?
It was February 2nd. I'll give you the exact time. It was February 2nd, 2018 at 10:12 and 21 seconds in the morning.
Okay. So somebody downloaded that bell schedule?
Yes.
Okay. On February 2nd at 10:21?
Yes.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time, I want to offer stations of the 24T and 24U.
Is there an objection?
Yes, ma'am, we renew all objections from DMIL 10 and also add rules 401 and 403. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
over the defense objection states 24T will be received as 466, 24U, 467.
Okay, now showing you Detective Fairclough, State's Exhibit 467. Is that the bell schedule you got from the phone?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I want to show you now State's Exhibit Mark 24R.
Yes, sir.
Can you identify that?
Yes, these are search history, excerpts from the search history on the phone that I created.
Okay, and you made that list yourself from the...
Yes, sir.
The physical extraction from 954-1007, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, Your Honor, at this time, I'd like to offer State's Exhibit 24R.
Is there any objection?
Yes, ma'am, just to give the arguments and authorities of DMIL 10, please.
Okay, over the defense objection, 24R will be received as 468,